Hey guys, on this Christmas morning, as has somehow become tradition, I would like to give you some gifts. And there are more gifts this year than ever before. Everything just kind of lined up perfectly, which is really cool, but man, was it a lot of work to get it put together. So I'm really excited to show you. First off, this will not be the majority of the video, I promise, but there is a new Aspects beta out now for both console and Java Aspects. This version only has two major new features: chat screen support. If you say chat, it'll actually be on the bottom of the screen. Also, bed messages will not appear in chat anymore. They only appear above the hotbar like that. It's very cool. The other major feature is proper shading on sand, obsidian, and sandstone. So now the blocks look exactly like the stairs, and the sand looks exactly like all other blocks. On obsidian, you can actually see the texture on all sides instead of just seeing black, where it's really way too dark sometimes. So that's pretty cool. But the main reason I want to test this now is because I'm trying to merge performance and fidelity. You'll notice there's only one download in the description, and that's because I've received a lot of reports recently that Java Aspects Fidelity doesn't actually crash people's devices anymore. And I tested, it doesn't crash my phone. So as long as I don't get any crash reports from this beta, we won't have to worry about performance and fidelity anymore. Everyone will get item icons, full held item poses, and durability bars. It'll be really nice. Alright, that's it for Aspects. No more, I promise. This is the last update. It's done, at least for this video. Much more excitingly, I am releasing two major new packs today. One of them is basically a complete overhaul of an old pack, Controller Tooltip Selector, and the other one is a brand new pack, Legacy Panorama Selector. These packs both, combined with console aspects, allow you to recreate any Legacy Console Edition version on modern-day Bedrock. Let me show you how this works. So let's apply all three packs. You don't have to use console aspects with these packs, but I personally like it. I think it really adds to how it looks. It also doesn't matter what order as long as the two packs are above console aspects. So these packs are both made for you to use the little selector to pick a different sub-pack. Tooltip Selector allows you to change how these little button icons look when you're using a controller. These appear by all the prompts. So for example, if you're using a PS4 controller on computer, you probably don't want to see the Xbox button prompts. So what you can do is use this pack, hit the gear, and change to a PS4 controller. There are multiple PS4 variants actually, there's a ton, but any one of them will change how the tooltips look so that the controller hints in-game actually match what controller you're using in real life. Now, this was an old pack that I released a long time ago, but it has had some pretty major updates. Before this update, Controller Tooltip Selector had 11 different pack options. Now it has 24. I have more than doubled the amount of options in this update. Every single Legacy Console Edition has at least one set in this pack now, which is very exciting because you can recreate any classic platform. So if we want our game to look like Nintendo Switch Edition, let's switch the Legacy Panorama Selector to the one on Nintendo Switch Edition. I will explain it later. And ta-da! We have Nintendo Switch Edition on modern-day Minecraft Bedrock with 1.20 features. You can even see all the controller tooltips in the options menu match the old Legacy Nintendo Switch Edition. Now that I've teased you with Panorama Selector, I should probably explain that one too. Everyone knows that Legacy Console Edition has a ton of old panoramas, but why can't we actually use them in Bedrock today? I'm fixing this grievous oversight by adding a pack that lets you select any old Minecraft Console Edition tooltip all the way back to the first update. But not only that, you can select the night version of any panorama, because Legacy Console Edition has night and day variants of each panorama. And finally, even past the night panoramas is a secret first panorama from Xbox 360 Edition's pre-release, which was never officially available. And still, you can get this classic ancient panorama for Xbox 360 Edition in modern-day Bedrock. Now let's go through a ton of the combinations that you can do with Legacy Panorama Selector, Console Aspects, and Controller Tooltip Selector. Let's select the classic Xbox 360 tooltips and the TU1 panorama, because we're going to create the launch version of Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition. Here it is. You've got the classic title, the classic controller hints, and the old panorama that just features a beach and the first tutorial world ever. All the controller hints in the settings menu now match Xbox 360, of course, and in-game. But maybe you weren't an Xbox 360 player. Maybe you originally joined on PlayStation 3. So let's pick those tooltips and set the panorama to TU14. I'm not actually sure what the first version of Minecraft PlayStation 3 edition is, but if it was TU14 that you played on, here it is. Look at that. The old panorama. Let's wait for that old house to come into view because I love that little house. And you can of course see the cross and circle buttons from the PlayStation DualShock 3 instead of the Xbox controller that Bedrock normally uses. There's that beautiful, beautiful house. Maybe you were a Nintendo family though, so let's use the Wii U tooltips. How about we pick the Pro controller, because you're not some normal, typical gamer, you're a pro gamer, and pick the TU19 panorama, which is the one that launched on Wii U edition. Here we are. You can see the white tooltips where B is select and A is exit because Nintendo is backwards, and the old Wii U edition title. And I love the background panorama with this bridge and the little castle attached to it. Sadly, they did not put Stampy's house in this panorama, but this is the tutorial world where that is hidden. Now, the next gen updates were an exciting time for Legacy Console Edition with the massive world size increase, so let's try out Xbox One Legacy tooltips and switch this panorama all the way up to TU31, where the world got brand new biomes and ocean monuments, and generally got a lot cooler. Look at that old world, it's so bright. And you can see the Xbox One style tooltips with the dark backgrounds and the green and red colors. Hey, it's Christmas themed. Of course, Xbox One Edition wasn't the only next generation version of Legacy Console because PS4 Edition also exists. So let's head over to PlayStation 4 Edition right now, but let's do something a little weird. There was never a TU5 on PS4 Edition, but using Legacy Panorama Selector, we can create things that never existed and never should exist. PS4 Edition tooltips, you can tell they're higher resolution, but a really old panorama that was only ever on Xbox 360. That's why this pack is fun. You can do whatever you want, any version of Minecraft recreated, as if it came out today. Now, the shortest lived Legacy Console Edition is one that I actually own, and that is Nintendo Switch Edition. So let's use those tooltips along with the nighttime version of the TU46 panorama, because I feel like it. If you ever needed a night mode for the game, these panoramas are a wonderful fit. Unfortunately, the dark Nintendo Switch Edition tooltips are kinda hard to see against the dark background. I should have thought of that before selecting it. Let's go to the control screen so I can show you once again that we've got all the Switch tooltips in here, which match the Pro Controller and the Joy-Cons. Now, 3DS Edition is not technically a Legacy Console Edition, but it does have its own set of controller tooltips, so it's in Controller Tooltip Selector anyway. Since I'm not sure what 3DS Edition would use for its main menu panorama, let's use the nighttime version of Title Update 9. There's that old castle in the background with the sunset behind it, and the weird black and white tooltips of 3DS Edition over everything. Look at these tooltips. I had to draw half of these myself because 3DS Edition had so few button prompts, like this stick, which is supposed to be the C stick, the tiny little nub stick that 3DS Edition games used as they right stick. It didn't work great, but 3DS Edition still existed, so we gotta acknowledge it a little bit. But maybe you don't have any nostalgia for the Legacy Console Editions, so for you, I offer nostalgia for Pocket Edition. We have brown controller tooltips that match how the old Pocket Edition UI used to look all those years ago. So let's pick a super classic panorama, the first night panorama ever. Look at those old buttons, just little brown circles with the button prompts in them that match Xbox for some reason, because that's what Mojang said was most important, I guess. Look at these. You might not ever have seen these, but they've been in the files for years. Windows 10 Edition isn't left out either, because it had two sets of tooltips, before Better Together, and during the beta. Let's check out the beta tooltips, because those ones are a little funky. And speaking of, let's set the panorama to the pre-release panorama to match the beta. Look at that, even the title says Windows 10 Edition Beta. It's very strange that they made a unique title file for a beta version that only existed for a few months or weeks. I don't even know how long Windows 10 Edition Beta was a thing. And you can tell these controller tooltips are definitely unfinished. They're like updated versions of the Pocket Edition tooltips, but they just aren't as smooth as they should be. Still, they are now preserved forever in Controller Tooltip Selector. For our final choice, I'll pick something that you might not expect: Generic Legacy. These are generic controller tooltips made for any third-party controller that might not match the typical button arrangement, because they are named so generically that any controller can match with them. You've got the button prompts that just show all 4 buttons around in the circle. You've got simply right trigger, left bumper, right stick, left stick. None of this L3, R2 PlayStation stuff. You've got a generic looking select button, a D-pad, so any third-party controller can really fit under this sub-pack, and that means we should probably match it with any old Panorama. Let's pick the most recent Panorama, TU69, but at night. This is a rare one, and this honestly might be my favorite. It's not hard on the eyes, but it's so fun and there's so much to look at. So, that is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing all the things you can do with Legacy Panorama Selector and Controller Tooltip Selector's latest update. These packs have been in the pipeline for quite a while, so it is a huge relief to have them finished and out. I really hope we can merge Java and console aspects, fidelity and performance into a single pack so that we don't have to have 2 separate versions anymore. Please go test that in the description for me and let me know how it goes. And for now, have a happy holiday.